top stories tonight in Y News. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. discusses various issues during the one-on-one interview of the President of World Economic Forum, answers some questions regarding the South China Sea.
The Senate Blue Ribbon Committee recommends graft and perjury charges against some former and current officials of the Department of Education and the Department of Budget and Management Procurement Service over the controversial laptop procurement project in 2021.
The Department of Justice imposes another 90-day suspension without pay against already suspended Bureau of Corrections Chief Gerald Bantag over the media interview of inmate Jovito Palparan at the New Bilibid prison.
And a helicopter crashes into a kindergarten in a foggy residential suburb of Kyiv, killing top Ukrainian officials and about a dozen other people, including a child on the ground.
Good evening, Philippines and the world. Today is Thursday, January 19, 2023. Join us in the next hour as we deliver today's top stories around the Philippines and in other parts of the world. I am William Theo.
We are also seen in 1,935 satellite monitoring centers nationwide and via live streaming worldwide through the UNTV News and Rescue social media channels. I am Hardy Delgado.
First in the news, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. discussed various issues during the one-on-one interview of the President of World Economic Forum, or WEF. The President answered some questions regarding the South China Sea issue. Nel Maribohok reports.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. is not keen on building up its armory as the government believes that military solution is not always the answer to issues. During a dialogue with World Economic Forum President Borji Brende in Davos, President Marcos was asked if he would double the defense budget, similar to what Japan is doing, which is raising its defense spending to 2% of its gross domestic product within 5 years.
There is no point the Philippines building up its armory. First, we are not in a economic situation that we are able to build up to the levels that the Americans have, to the levels that the Chinese have.
PBBM's remarks came as the government's continuous push for the modernization of the armed forces of the Philippines in the face of regional tensions, especially in the South China Sea. Meanwhile, the chief executive said that tension in the disputed South China Sea keeps him up at night, but his country was committed to peace despite Beijing's maritime claims.
Keeps you up at night, it keeps you up in the day, keeps you up most of the time. It's something. It's very dynamic. It's constantly in flux. So you have to pay attention to it and to make sure that you are at least aware of the present situation, so that you are able to respond properly.
He added that the Philippines watches as a bystander whenever tensions rise in the sea region.
We are at the very front line, and so whenever these tensions increase, when the ships come out, the Chinese send their Coast Guard vessels, the Americans answer, we are watching as bystanders, and said if something goes wrong here, we are going to suffer.
However, Marcos Jr. emphasized that the country is committed to peaceful resolution disputes in the South China Sea. Nel Maribuhok, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Philippine National Police Academy Alumni Association Incorporated and the Philippine Military Academy Alumni Association Incorporated backed the PNP leadership and DILG in the call for courtesy resignation of the third-level officers of the Philippine National Police. Leia Ilagan will tell us why.
The retired and active members of the Philippine National Police Academy Alumni Association Incorporated, or PNPA-AAI, want to cleanse the PNP ranks from illegal drugs. That's why they are supporting the Department of Interior and Local Government, or DILG, and the PNP leadership for the calls for courtesy resignation. In a statement, the PNP-AAI said This drastic move is necessary to weed out the police scalawags. The PNP-AAI expressed hope that the said measures would provide a sustainable solution in ending the illegal drug problem. Meanwhile, the Philippine Military Academy Alumni Association Incorporated, or PMA-AAI, also backed the efforts of the PNP to eradicate the police scalawags. The PMA-AAI admits that the campaign against illegal drugs has been very challenging and frustrating, especially on dedicated police officers. The group said they are with the PNP to defeat illegal drugs through one whole nation approach. As of January 18, 2023, the PNP received 941 resignation out of 953 third-level officers. 802 of them are police colonels, 138 are generals, and 1 inspector general of the Internal Affairs Service. Leia Ilagan, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
The Department of Justice, or DOJ, has imposed another 90-day suspension without pay against already suspended Bureau of Corrections or Bucor Chief Gerald Bantag. This is due to the alleged not following of procedures of the approval process for interview of persons deprived of liberty, or PDLs. March 30, 2022, the Sunshine Media Network International, or SMNI, conducted an interview with PDL General Jovito Palparan at Overseer's office in the minimum security compound of the New Bilibid Prison, or NBP. DOJ asked Bantag to explain within 10 days. Bantag's camp, meanwhile, has not yet issued a statement over the issue.
The Commission on Elections, or COMELEC, is cleared from data privacy violation. This is over the alleged data breach or hacking of the COMELEC servers before the 2022 national and local elections. Dante Almento has the story.
In a decision released by the National Privacy Commission, or NPC, they ruled that the Commission on Elections, or COMELEC, is not liable under Section 29, or Concealment of Security Breaches of Sensitive Information of the Data Privacy Act of 2012. This is over the alleged data breach or hacking of the poll body's servers by group of hackers before the 2022 elections. COMELEC Chairman George Erwin Garcia stressed that it proves COMELEC data such as voters' sensitive information were not compromised.
Maaaring hindi nga sa panahon natin nangyari yung kaso, pero siyempre yung mga ganyang klaseng decision na nagpapatunay na lamang na walang violation ng COMELEC.
But in its order, the NPC recommended to the Department of Justice, or DOJ, to prosecute Smartmatic employee Ricardo Argana, who allegedly allowed an outsider to use his computer and able to access Smartmatic's network and data. Smartmatic is the COMELEC service provider last May 9, 2022 polls. COMELEC Chairman Garcia added that they are willing to cooperate with the DOJ if there will be an investigation.
Magpaparticipate po fully at magko-cooperate ang COMELEC sa anumang gagawing investigasyon, lalong-lalo na ng DOJ. Basta po para sa amin ang importante, ang National Privacy Commission na ang nagsasabi na wala naman talagang liability ang COMELEC.
Department of Justice Secretary Crispin Rimulya, meanwhile, disclosed they have not yet received the decision of the NPC.
Hindi ko pa nakikita. I haven't seen that. Hindi pa nagko-communicate sa akin ng nila, Secretary General.
Dante Almento, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
The Kadiwa store is now selling unsubsidized onion. The Department of Agriculture continuously coordinating with farmers to sustain the supply. Ray Pelayo will tell us why.
Consumers queue to buy onion at Kadiwa store in Quezon City. Today, both red and white onions are available for 200 pesos and 170 pesos per kilogram respectively.
Mura kumpara sa public market sa ngayon. Mas mura rito sa Kadiwa.
Okay naman po, mura siya. Unlike sa palengke, dinoble yung presyo. Kaya ayun, pinagtsatsagaan kong pilahan kasi mura nga 200 lang per kilo.
Sa lahat po. Opo, sa lahat. Sa lahat ng luto. Tsaka, iririgalo ko po to sa nanay ko. Masayang masaya to kasi problema siya sa sibuyas niya kasi nagluluto yun ng maulam nanay ko.
Department of Agriculture spokesperson Assistant Secretary Cristina Evangelista said that their supply now have better quality. The red onion is the same as what is being sold in wet markets for 330 pesos per kilogram. The official noted that onions at Kadiwa now are not subsidized and directly supplied by the farmers' cooperatives.
Yung sibuyas kasi na nasa Kadiwa ngayon, wala nang intervention. So yan po ang presyo ng mga kooperatiba.
The farm gate price of onion now decreases even in wet markets. DA will continue to coordinate with farmers who can supply cheaper onion. Ray Pelayo, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
Senator Raffy Tulfo seeks stakeholders' view on a Senate bill extending weekend during holidays. This while different sectors express their side on the proposed bill. Asher Kadapan Jr. details why.
Senate Bill number 1651, seeking to extend weekends during holidays, may significantly contribute to the tourism industry, but it may also cause a big loss to employers, particularly private sectors. Senator Raffy Tulfo explains this as he emphasizes the need to study his proposed bill about long weekends.
Kailangan talaga pag-aralan. Kaya nga yan ay iminumukahi ko, and then gusto ko makausap lahat ng stakeholders. Gusto ko yung pulso ng lahat. Business sector, labor sector, yung DTI, anybody in the government na pwede makatulong na makapag-ambag ng ideas, na makapag-ambag na information, na makatulong sa pag-craft ng batas na ito.
Department of Tourism Secretary Cristina Frasco earlier said that President Ferdinand Marcos Jr.'s decision to amend the list of holidays and non-working holidays may greatly help the tourism sector. While Albay 2nd District Representative Joey Salceda explains it may push the domestic tourism in the country by 10%. But Department of Trade and Industry or DTI Undersecretary Ruth Castello agrees to further study the bill for the benefit of workers under no work, no pay policy. The Employers Confederation of the Philippines or ECOP, however, says the country already has many holidays. ECOP President Sergio Ortiz Luis Jr. doubts that additional long weekends may become a disadvantage to the economy.
But generally, ang problema kasi dyan, napakababa na productivity natin din sa Pilipinas ngayon. So we need to improve it. Yung mga holidays na yan, maraming workers na no work, no pay, hindi kikita. So, they will not be happy with that. At maraming workers nating no work, no pay. Kailangan siguro pag-aralang mabuti.
Asher Kadapan Jr., UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
And for our news abroad, Ukraine is mourning over the loss of its interior minister who died in a helicopter crash Wednesday, along with other ministry officials. Authorities are still investigating the cause of the crash that killed at least 14 people and wounded 25, including children. Annie Mancilia tells the details live. Good evening, Annie.
Good evening, Jonah. Ukraine's Interior Minister Denis Monastyrsky died in a helicopter accident when it crashed into a kindergarten school in Kyiv on a foggy Wednesday morning. The security service of Ukraine is still investigating all possible versions of the crash to identify whether it was an accident or related to the war. No fighting has been reported to the area where the crash occurred. However, Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky said in a video conference addressing the World Economic Forum in Switzerland that the tragedy was not an accident.
This is not an accident because it has been due to war, and the war has many dimensions, not just on the battlefield. There are no accidents at wartime. These are all war results, absolutely.
Monastyrsky was in charge of police and emergency services in the country and was the most senior official who died since Russia's invasion. He also dealt with the consequences of Russian strikes and demining, political analysts say. Meanwhile, world leaders are expressing their grief over Ukraine's tragedy that occurred just days after a massive Russian missile attack. While House National Security Council spokesman John Kirby called the incident heartbreaking, while British Home Secretary Suella Braverman called Monastyrsky a leading light in supporting the Ukrainian people. Giona?
Thank you, Annie, for that live report. A reduction of less than 5% in Microsoft's overall workforce has started. However, they continue to hire in key strategic areas. Monica Canlas tells us why.
Around 10,000 jobs were previously cut by Microsoft this week as a result of their adjustments to match their cost structure to customer demands. The move will incur a $1.2 billion charge for severance expenses and other costs following the modifications to hardware portfolio and the cost of consolidating leases as they increase the workspace density. According to Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella, although customers are optimizing their digital spending and recessions are happening or being anticipated in some countries, the developments in artificial intelligence or AI are giving rise to the next big wave of computing. Despite cutting positions, Microsoft will continue to hire and invest in key strategic areas by allocating their capital and talent for the company's long-term competitiveness. Satya added, although it is challenging, such decision is necessary. Satya is optimistic about Microsoft's future as they strive to deliver and invest in long-term opportunities. Monica Canlas, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
We'll share more global stories with you later, but for now, back to you, Harleen.
Thank you, Giona. The Senate Blue Ribbon Committee has recommended filing of charges against several former and current officials of the Department of Education and the Procurement Service of the Budget Department. This comes after they concluded that the laptops worth 2.4 billion pesos that were bought for public school teachers were overpriced. This report will tell us why.
The Senate Blue Ribbon Committee has released its committee report containing the findings from its probe on the supposed overpriced and outdated laptops bought by the Department of Education or DepEd through the procurement service of the Department of Budget and Management or PSDBM. In the dispositive portion of the 197-page report, the panel concluded that the contract for the purchase of laptops for teachers in 2021 was overpriced by at least 979 million pesos. The panel believes there could be a conspiracy among the officials of the two agencies, which created an opportunity to favored bidders to submit excessive bids, resulting in the overpriced purchase of laptops.
There is sufficient basis to believe that there was a conspiracy to facilitate and or generate an overprice, which indicates manifest partiality, evident bad faith, and or gross inexcusable neglect on the part of senior officials and staff of the DepEd and the PSDBM.
The panel pointed out that the increase in the price of one unit of laptop from 35,000 to 58,300 pesos is highly irregular. It added that many of the purchased laptops were given to non-teaching personnel instead to teachers who will conduct online classes. The panel also took note that the laptops are too slow because of an outdated processor with a price too high for its specifications. The transfer of procurement to PSDBM, according to the report, violates the implementing rules and regulations of the Government Procurement Reform Act, noting that DepEd has the capability to do its own procurement. The committee recommends filing of criminal charges against former DepEd Undersecretary Alain Del Pascua, Undersecretary for Finance Annalyn Sevilla, former Assistant Secretary Salvador Malana III, and Director for ICT Service Abram Abanil for their alleged violation of Anti-Graft and Corrupt Practices Act. Also recommended to face graft charges are former PSDBM Officer in Charge Executive Director Lloyd Christopher Christopher Lau, former OIC Executive Director Jason Mer-Awayan, Bids and Awards Committee or BAC Chairman Ulysses Mora, and other staff of the Special Bids and Awards Committee. Charges are also recommended for 2 education officials for alleged violation of falsification of public document by a public official. The panel also recommended the filing of perjury charges against several officials of DepEd and PSDBM. Though admonished, the panel sees no liability on the part of Education Secretary Leonor Briones.
How the former secretary may have unwittingly approved the new parameters which increase the price and decrease the quantity of laptops to be purchased. Nagamit po siya sa wikang Tagalog.
The panel also recommends the overpriced amount to be recovered and be placed in a special National Teachers Trust Fund.
Nasa sandigan bayan na po yan kung paano po makukuha po yan. Meron pong computation po dito base po sa mga dokumento. Nagsimula po ito sa dokumentong yung sales invoice.
It also recommends to abolish the PSDBM and require government agencies, including state universities and colleges, to conduct their own procurement. The panel also sees the need for the Commission on Audit to conduct a special fraud audit to examine the various accounts and financial documents related to the laptop purchase, and for the Anti-Money Laundering Council to conduct an inquiry into the deal, including the bank deposits of the public officials identified in the investigation. A copy of the report will be forwarded to various agencies, including the Department of Justice and Office of the Ombudsman, for appropriate action. 12 senators signed the panel's report, with Senator Jinggoy Estrada dissenting and Senator Christopher Bongo expressing reservations. Senate Blue Ribbon Committee Chairperson Francis Tolentino says he is ready to sponsor and defend the report in the plenary once session resumes on January 23. Jorge Delgado, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
The Department of Education, or DepEd, welcomes the Senate Blue Ribbon Committee report on the purchase of overpriced laptops and considers the recommendation to improve the procurement processes. Janice Inhente will tell us why.
Following the findings of the Senate Blue Ribbon Committee's investigation on the purchased laptops given to the public school teachers, which found out that it was overpriced by at least 979 million pesos, the Department of Education, or DepEd, vows to strengthen internal controls and procurement processes inside the department. DepEd spokesperson Attorney Michael Poa said the department appreciates the investigation that was conducted by the Senate Blue Ribbon Committee and will consider the recommendation.
So the recommendations and the findings of the Blue Ribbon Committee will definitely be considered so that we can streamline and put in internal controls to ensure that our procurement process is, again, efficient and, of course, transparent.
Meanwhile, Senate finding leads the panel to recommend the filing of criminal and administrative charges against officials of the DepEd. POA says they will leave it to the Ombudsman to investigate.
Now, as to the question on the charges to be filed against the officials, again, we have not received the report, but perhaps that would be something that will be considered by the Ombudsman. We will monitor, and of course, DepEd will always cooperate kung meron mang proceedings that are going to take place in terms of if they need documentation on the side of DepEd, we will definitely cooperate with the process.
While DepEd has yet to receive a copy of the said Senate report, in the meantime, POA said that an administrative probe is ongoing to determine the liability of those involved. Janice Inhente, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Department of Information and Communications Technology, or DICT, will set up one-stop shops to help SIM subscribers in remote areas to register their SIM cards. In a public briefing, DICT spokesperson Ana Mayra Mentillo said the agency is coordinating with the Department of Justice to place one-stop shop booths to secure valid IDs required for SIM registration. Valid IDs include National Bureau of Investigation, or NBI, clearance. The DICT continues to work with other government agencies and telecommunication companies to finalize the guidelines for the SIM registration assistance in remote or isolated areas. As of January 1, there are more than 21 million registered SIM cards 12.8% of the total activated SIM cards in the country.
The Department of Information and Communications Technology is in talks with countries including Singapore and China to seek assistance in boosting digitalization in the Philippines. Eileen Cerudo will tell us why.
During the World Economic Forum, or WEF, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. said the country welcomes any assistance to improve the government's digitalization efforts. In line with this, the Department of Information and Communications Technology, or DICT, said it is already planning out several programs in adherence to boosting the digital infrastructure in the country. According to the agency, it already signed a memorandum of agreement with Singapore and China to help with the country's digitalization. The country is also in talks with Japan, United States, and other ASEAN countries.
Marami na po tayong kinausap. The technology we need is not yet in the country. So it's really, we have to share resource, we have to share experiences, we have to share knowledge.
The DICT is also eyeing more programs, including a super government application. According to the DICT, the super government app aims to streamline all government services for bureaucratic efficiency. Another app that is called the ILGU, or the Integrated Local Government Unit System, is available for easier transactions with the local government.
Kung kailangan po nilang business permit, kumuha ng clearance, real property tax, business tax, civil registry, at iba pang permit, yan po yung gusto nating i-roll out.
There are currently 25 cities and municipalities implementing the ILGU. The agency also aims to improve connectivity, especially in remote areas, and develop a better cybersecurity system for the country. Meanwhile, the House of Representatives will prioritize measures in adherence to President Marcos' plan to boost digitalization in the Philippines. According to House Speaker Martin Romualdez, establishing a framework for digital transformation will help in enhancing the prospect of the Philippines as an investment hub. Several priority measures include e-government and e-governance act. Eileen Cerudo, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Metropolitan Manila Development Authority, or MMDA, said they will fund the IT requirements of local government units in Metro Manila for the interconnectivity of database with the Land Transportation Office. JP Nunez will tell us why.
Among the issues being raised during Metro Manila Council or MMC meeting for the implementation of Metro Manila Traffic Code is their respective IT systems. To address this issue, Metropolitan Manila Development Authority or MMDA said they will fund the hardware and IT requirements needed for seamless rollout of LGU's integration to Land Transportation Offices or LTO's Land Transportation Management System or LTMS, based on the Metro Manila Traffic Code being drafted by MMDA, LTO, and LGUs. Local government units will be given access to LTO's database of traffic violators.
Sinabi po ni Chairman Attorney Artes ay ipopondo po ng MMDA ang mga technical requirement.
MMDA Acting Chairman Romando Artes said earlier today that there are no specific amount yet of the fund that will come from their department as the matter is still to be discussed. Meanwhile, the technical working group from MMDA, LTO, and head of traffic bureaus from LGUs approved the final draft of Metro Manila Traffic Code earlier today in their fifth and final meeting. MMDA said that single ticketing system, which aims to harmonize the definition of traffic violation and penalties in every LGUs in National Capital Region, aims to be fully implemented by the first quarter this year.
Plano po ay may patutupad po sa first quarter of 2023. So ang nangyari po kanina, na-approve na po ng technical working group ang Metro Manila Traffic Code.
With the new policy, violators will no longer need to go back to the City Hall to reclaim his or her driver's license, as he or she can settle the fine using online payment.
Magtatap po ang LTO ng mga online payment centers para po kung galing po kayo sa probinsya tapos nahuli po kayo sa For example po, sa Quezon City, pwede pa rin kayo magbayad po sa mga online payment centers kahit umalis na po kayo sa lugar.
MMC President and San Juan City Mayor Francis Zamora said the final draft of the Metro Manila Code will be presented in the next meeting of Metro Manila mayors. The mayor is confident that the Metro Manila mayors will pass a resolution to finally implement single ticketing system in Metro Manila. JP Nunez, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
After banning women from work and having an education in universities in Afghanistan, United Nations officials have spoken to the leaders of the Taliban, which control the country. Neresa Danda will tell us why live. Good evening, Neresa.
Good evening, Giona. Arriving at the Taliban-led nation, the United Nations or UN officials came with an agenda to push for women's rights on Monday, January 16, bringing delegates such as the highest-ranked Women Secretary General Amina Mohammed and the Executive Secretary of UN Women Sima Bahaus. Women in Afghanistan have been oppressed since the Taliban took power in 2021, prohibiting them from jobs, education, and other leisure activities. And just last month, officials banned women from working in many organizations and foreign aid groups until further notice. In a recent tweet, Secretary General Amina Mohammed quoted Martin Luther King's dream, encouraging to make the dream a reality for Afghan women and girls to regain their rights. And after their discussion with Taliban officials on Tuesday, January 17, Abdul Qahar Balki, the minister spokesman, tweeted that women were involved in education and health sectors, with those working in government being paid at home. Meanwhile, a 15-member council is being proposed by the United States to take on a solution to encourage the Taliban to undo the prohibitions on Afghan women. Back to you, Giona.
Thank you, Neresa, for that live report. And those are the reasons behind the news in other parts of the globe. I am Giona Privado, live from London, United Kingdom. Good evening.
The Bureau of Immigration, or BI, on Thursday, January 19, advised foreign nationals residing in the country to process their re-entry fees prior to departure, especially those who are planning to spend the Lunar New Year holidays abroad. The early processing of fees would spare them from long queues at immigration cashiers in the departure area of the 3 Ninoy Aquino International Airport or NAIA terminals, according to BI Port Operations Division Chief Carlos Capulong. Capulong added that departing foreign residents may secure their permits at the airports or at any BI office nationwide to decrease processing time and have more time to relax before the flight. Departing passengers can also secure their permits prior to departure at 24/7 one-stop shop of BI placed at the NAIA Terminal 3. Registered foreign nationals holding valid immigrant and non-immigrant visas from BI, permanent residents, foreign students, and workers holding valid ACRI cards are required to secure exit and re-entry permits, as stated under the immigration laws of the country.
The Bureau of Plant Industry, or BPI, confirms today, January 19, that the onion importation have no specific date yet. This is after President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. said that the country needs to import because of low production and high demand. Bernadette Tinoy will tell us why.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. states on January 16 that the country have no choice but to import onions because of the low production and high demand in the country. But the Bureau of Plant Industry, or BPI, of the Department of Agriculture said that the details for onion importation is set to be discussed and have no report with the schedule as of this time.
So hopefully may dumating na, but officially wala pang natatanggap na reports.
BPI Director Glenn Panganiban insists that the agency seeks to patronize the local production and the importation is just an alternative option. Meanwhile, reports on selling imported onion in the market will be monitored by DA Intelligence and Enforcement Unit. and Panganiban wanted to advise the public to stop selling and buying unregistered imported onion as it can be contaminated with pesticides and harmful to the consumer.
The mga alleged na pumasok na without the necessary permits, of course, we are working with the Office of Department of Agriculture Intelligence and Enforcement Unit. Pag may mga reports sa ganon, we immediately go there to survey and monitor to see talaga. And then if through experience, if wala siyang necessary documents, of course, we negotiate or we talk with retailers kung saan nila nakuha yon.
Different onion buyers then take the opportunity to buy onions in BPI Kadiwa stores amid the 93rd anniversary of the agency. Mirna Culminar and Reynold Odarbe bought kilos of onions as it is cheaper than the market.
Kahit maliit ito, nakikita na naisip namin, ganun pa rin ang lasa. Sa amin, sa palengke, punta kayo 800 ang kilo. 500 to 800 ang kilo. So dito, 170. Mas tipid nito.
Ang laking kasi pag gusto mo mag-beef stick, hindi ka muna magawa kasi sa mahal ng sibuyas. Kaya kahit maliit, maganda naman sariwa makikita mo.
Vicente Cruz Market in Manila maintains its onion price at 400 pesos since last week, and the trend for coming weeks will depend on the price of their supplier. Bernadette Tino, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines, or CAAP, announced on Thursday, January 19, that the General Santos City Airport did not suffer any damage from magnitude 7 earthquake that hit Davao Occidental last Wednesday. Normal operations have been continued at the airport since the earthquake, according to CAAP General Santos Manager Joel Gavina. The earthquake was earlier logged as magnitude 7.3 by the Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology, or PHIVOLCS, but it was later downgraded to magnitude 7. On Wednesday, the tectonic quake jolted 346 kilometers southeast of Balut Island in Sarangani at 2:06 p.m. Areas under intensity 2 are President Quirino Sultan Kudarat, Glan Maasim, and Malungon Sarangani, Calamansig, Palimbang, Banga, City of Coronadal, Polo Molok, Tampakan, and Tupi, South Cotabato, and City of General Santos. PHIVOLCS noted that aftershocks are also expected from the magnitude 7 earthquake. CAAP spokesperson Eric Apolonio assured that operations at the General Santos City Airport remain normal and passengers need not worry about their flights.
The Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology, or PHIVOLCS, reported in an advisory on Wednesday, January 18, that the Bulusan volcano is now back to normal level, or alert level 0. Based on PHIVOLCS's data, the observational parameters have returned to baseline or background levels, and no magmatic eruption is also foreseen in the immediate future. The agency has been recording 0 to 5 quakes at the volcano per day that occurred at a shallow depth of less than 10 kilometers beneath the edifice since the first week of December last year. Results show the rock fracturing processes within the volcano associated with shallow hydrothermal activity have diminished, which prompted PHIVOLCS to lower the volcano's alert status. PHIVOLCS also added that very week-to-week emission has been traced from the active vents of the volcano since the second week of November 2022. However, the entry into the 4-kilometer radius permanent danger zone near the vents on the southeastern slopes must still be avoided for possible rockfall, landslide, and sudden and hazardous steam-driven or phreatic eruption. Aviation authorities are also encouraged to advise pilots not to fly close to the volcano's summit, as volcanic ash from any sudden phreatic eruption can be harmful to the aircraft.
Despite the possibility that COVID-19 will no longer be a global health emergency, health experts continue to emphasize the wearing of face masks as an important tool to avoid getting infected by the virus. Gladys Tuabi will tell us why.
COVID-19 cases in the country continue to decline, and the World Health Organization, or WHO, is seeking to declare COVID-19 no longer a global health emergency. Despite these, health experts underscore the importance of face mask protocol to protect individuals from getting infected by COVID-19. According to infectious disease expert Dr. Ronjen Sulante, COVID-19 is still here even with the chance that it will no longer be a global health emergency.
Mananatili pa rin ang face mask dahil ito ang importanteng tool natin na hindi tayo magkakahawa-hawaan. No? Wala pa rin tayong sinasabi na wala na tayong COVID. Kung i-lift man ang public health emergency, it is because na manageable na yung mga kaso, hindi na napupuno ang mga hospital at marami na ring nabakunahan. But nandito pa rin ang COVID sa community.
Aside from this, Solante reminds the public developing COVID-19 symptoms to avoid attending any physical gatherings. And most importantly, getting oneself COVID-19 vaccine. Solante added there is yet no need to implement additional restrictions, especially among the passengers arriving in the country. Instead, focus on monitoring and surveillance to determine immediately the variants that may enter the country.
Importante ngayon, ang focus natin, dapat palakasin natin yung boosted population natin, no? Yung surveillance natin ng COVID-19 para at least alam natin kung ano itong mga variants of concern na nandito, kung meron bang nakapasok na mga variants of concern na wala pa dito sa atin na nanggaling sa ibang bansa.
On January 27, WHO Emergency Committee is set to meet to decide whether COVID-19 should be lifted as a global health emergency or not. Currently, cases in the country and in some parts of the world become manageable. Gladys Tuabi, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Our kasambahay, as the world faces these trying times amid the pandemic caused by coronavirus, we are inviting everyone to join the global prayer for humanity.
Good day. I'm Brother Eli Soriano of the members of the Church of God International. I want to invite you to join us in a minute of prayer every day to pray for humanity and the whole world as we go through these perilous times. While safety measures like washing of hands and strengthening of our immune systems may help us through this horrible predicament, there is still no precaution or cure more powerful than God's mighty intervention. And we need His intervention now more than ever. It doesn't matter what religion you are in or what denomination you belong. This is an invitation for all the people around the world who cares for the future of their family, friends, loved ones, and humanity as a whole. Everybody is welcome to pray with us. For more details, you can check out the description box below. Thank you very much, and I hope to hear from you soon. May God bless you.
And before we close, we will leave you with a word, giving glory to God. From the book of Romans, chapter 13, verse 8, it says, "Owe no man anything, but to love one another, for he that loveth another hath fulfilled the law." And those are the reasons behind the news, January 19, 2023. Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold. I am Hardy Delgado.
And because we need to know, we will always ask why. I am William Theo. We serve the people, we give glory to God.